Now clean the liner seat and place the cylinder head very carefully over the liner. Placing the liner, ensure that the cylinder head is fixed properly on the liner. Torque all the nuts first at 350 foot-pounds and finally at 550 foot-pounds one by one. Then connect the fuel return pipe of the cylinder head with the T-joint of the cross head, which further goes to the fuel gallery of the engine block. Now place the yoke and lube oil that the valve on the push rod side is adjusted first and the valve on the other side is adjusted next. Similarly, carry out the tappet adjustment and phasing for all the cylinder heads. Filter in the main bearing oil header. Ensure that the break-in filter is used till the break-in test. Now flush the lubricating oil in the system for 1 hour. Now start the engine according to the standard starting procedure. Break-in test is complete. Remove the break-in filter and fit the S-pipe. With this, the maintenance schedule of the power pack of diesel-electric locomotives is now complete.